All right, after hearing former FBI Director Comey's testimony, even some in the left-stream, mainstream media, they're doubting the Russian collusion theory. Listen.
The assumption of the critics of the president, of his pursuers, you might say, is that somewhere along the line in the last year, the president had something to do with colluding with the Russians. And yet what came apart this morning was that theory. Comey said that basically Flynn wasn't central to the Russian investigation.
So, as Chris Matthews suggests, does this completely destroy the left's entire narrative? Here to debate, journalist and radio talk show host Jamila Bey and radio talk show host and Fox News contributor David Webb. So, Jamila, I go to you first. Does this, the admission by Chris Matthews and others in the mainstream media that this narrative is gone, does that prove there's nothing there?
No, absolutely not. As Director Comey himself repeatedly stated, this isn't something he could disclose in an open session. The investigation absolutely needs to be more ongoing. We need to find out, what do we know? Last July, Donald Trump said, Russia, can you help us find those 30,000 emails? Remember that? We don't know what Comey was looking at. We don't know what intelligence the FBI actually does have. We do know that he said Flynn wasn't central to that, but there are way too many things we have no idea about.
Well, Director Comey also said that President Trump was not the focus of the investigation. David, before I go to you, I want to read something that Director Comey included in his written testimony about this. He said, and I quote, "The president went on to say that if there were some satellite associates of his, inside the Trump campaign or outside, who did something wrong, it would be good to find that out. But that he hadn't done anything wrong and hoped I would find a way to get it out there, that we weren't investigating him." Of course, the one thing that didn't leak was that the FBI was never actually investigating President Trump.
Right. And Pete, look at the desperation by the Democrats, as evidenced by Jamila needing to reach back to a campaign trail joke to make a point. The fact is, Chris Matthews has something, whether he intended to or not, in that they are unable to substantiate the story. No evidence is proven. We've seen that the actual evidence of potential obstruction under 18 U.S.C. 4 is when Loretta Lynch asked for the Clinton investigation to be classified a matter, and James Comey took action, and obstruction requires action. So look at it for what it is. The president has not been found guilty of anything. The Democrats have convicted him in the court of public opinion, but they have no other play. Obstruction is their only play. They have no other story to go with. They have no policies to put on the table. And rather than dealing with issues of infrastructure where Democrats would typically be on board, the unions have left them to go along with the president. And centrists in Michigan, Wisconsin, other areas of the country, Ohio, what are they doing? They're going with a president that says we need to fix the issues and the security issues in this country.
Jamila, I mean, the word obstruction is used specifically because they want to get to impeachment. What evidence at all have you seen yet that there was any collusion? I mean, where does this lead?
Well, collusion is absolutely not a legal term. So
sure.
we're talking about, was there anything criminal? Was there anything
have you seen evidence?
Actionable? Have I personally? Absolutely not. I've not been in those closed session meetings. I and most of America only got to see what Director Comey was able to put forth in open session, not classifying, or forgive me, not referring to any classified documents that we don't know exist as average American citizens. This investigation, in order to preserve this union, in order to preserve this democracy, must absolutely go on. If Russia interfered with the business of America, doing Americans' business, that is a dangerous thing.
Of course, that they've looked at, but
David, we don't know that yet.
David, last word.
7+ months of doing this, they've found nothing. If there was something in closed-door hearings, it would have actually progressed beyond that. There would have been possibly a grand jury impaneled. There would have been other things done. Now, to be fair, you can impanel a grand jury in secret, but the process that plays out over 7 months, we would have seen more action. They're dragging this out. They're sticking with House committees. I say let Robert Mueller continue with the investigation. And when this, just like the president's executive order on immigration, goes to the Supreme Court, we will have a definitive answer in the investigation, and we will move forward. But the Democrats are obstructing. The Antifa, the hardcore left, the Obama Democrats, the globalists, they've all aligned themselves against the American people.
Well, of course, if there was something, Jamila and David, it would be on the top line of the failing New York Times.
Well, James Comey would leak it if possible.
Of course. Thank you both very much for the good discussion. We appreciate it. All right, coming up, it's something the political world thought could never happen. Jeb Bush is backing President Donald Trump. Everyone, please clap. Plus, we're going fishing on the